The silence in the Deep Space Command Center was suffocating, broken only by the low hum of machinery and the occasional murmur from the technicians monitoring the vast arrays of screens. Commander Elena Vasquez stood at the center of the room, eyes locked on the main display, a swirling pattern of data, like an encrypted heartbeat from the void. For years, the galaxy had listened, cautiously hopeful but wary, to the faint whispers from Earth. Not the kind of whispers broadcast by a civilization desperate for contact, but something far older, primal, and unmistakably human. "Sir, the signal's stabilizing," reported Lieutenant Rao, his voice taut with anticipation. "We've decoded about 70%. Elena's jaw tightened. The last confirmed extraterrestrial contact had been nearly a century ago. A diplomatic failure, so complete it had isolated Earth from the galactic community. From then on, star charts showed one constant. Every alien species kept Earth at arm's length, a dangerous mystery to be avoided. But tonight was different. A crackle filled the room as the decryption algorithm spit out the next fragment of the message. Elena leaned in. The data wasn't a greeting. It wasn't coordinates or a plea. It was a warning. "They are coming," she read aloud. The words sent a ripple through the assembled officers. "Who?" asked a junior analyst, her voice barely audible. "You don't understand." "Not yet." The cryptic message glowed on the screen, part of an ancient log encoded deep within Earth's subterranean satellites, sent by a lost human expedition decades ago. Suddenly, the screen flickered, and a new transmission appeared. Grainy images of colossal figures, moving with terrifying speed, obliterating entire fleets. Alien warships burned like fireworks, torn apart by weapons no one had seen before. "That's impossible," muttered Rao. "No known technology matches that destructive power." Elena's heart pounded. The images showed Earth's defenders, humans, engaged in combat. But the humans weren't just fighting for survival. They were hunting. "The message is a warning and a challenge," she said grimly. "Earth is not the primitive backwater we assumed. This is a planet that fought off an invasion. They fought back with a ferocity no one expected." The room fell silent again, each mind racing through the implications. Outside the command center, the stars gleamed indifferently, but in that moment they felt like distant eyes watching, waiting. From the depths of the Galactic Council's archives, buried reports were suddenly relevant again. Accounts of ships disappearing near the solar system, of entire colonies losing contact. Whispers of a human weapon known only as the Reckoner, a myth until now. Elena sent an urgent message to the Council's ambassador. "Prepare for immediate briefing. The Earth signal confirms hostile defense capability at a level previously underestimated. We must reconsider our stance." Minutes later, the transmission abruptly ended. But one thing was clear. This was why no alien species dared to approach Earth anymore. Because the humans, once thought vulnerable, were anything but. They were hunters cloaked in civilization skin, and their scars told stories of wars that no other species dared to challenge. As the room emptied, Elena lingered, eyes fixed on the stars. This was only the beginning. The Galactic Council chamber was a hive of unease, its towering members draped in silks and metals from dozens of worlds. Ambassador Drellin, a lithe figure from the species known as the Zephyri, paced nervously as the decrypted Earth transmission replayed on the massive holoscreen. The message's revelation was seismic. For centuries, Earth had been written off as a quiet, backward planet. No threat, no interest. Now, those assumptions shattered like glass under pressure. "This changes everything," murmured Lyran, the silver-scaled diplomat from the Zilthar cluster. "Their weaponry, their tactics, these images show a level of devastation we've never witnessed before. What could have driven humanity to such extremes?" Drellin's jaw clenched. "Fear. Desperation. Something we've overlooked. The humans are survivors, but more than that, they are warriors." A sudden alert drew everyone's attention. An encrypted message arrived from Earth itself. The transmission was brief and cold, encoded with layers of firewalls that only the Council's best cryptographers could begin to peel away. "You have seen the warning. Know this: Earth does not negotiate from weakness. We do not seek war, but we will end it on our terms. Any fleet that approaches will find no mercy. A wave of shock rippled through the chamber. The humans were not just defending, they were threatening. "Is this a bluff?" whispered an elder from the planet Keltor. "A scare tactic to keep us at bay?" "Unlikely," said Drellin. "Their military has been shrouded in mystery, but the evidence is clear. They possess weapons capable of annihilating fleets before a single shot is fired." Outside the chamber, the Council's war room buzzed with emergency strategy sessions. Spies and scouts were dispatched to monitor Earth's orbit. Satellite arrays scanned for signs of hidden bases, while analysts pored over intercepted human communications. Meanwhile, deep below Earth's surface, in a classified facility known only to the highest military command, General Marcus Kane stood before a vast holographic map of the solar system. His face was steely, marked by years of conflict that no other species could comprehend. "The galaxy thinks we're weak," he said, voice hard as steel. "They think the last war was a fluke. It wasn't. We rebuilt, evolved, and learned. We won't wait for them to make the first move." Behind him, an aide activated a projection showing the latest human weapons. Ships capable of cloaking, devastating beam weapons, and the rumored Reckoner, a superweapon so powerful it was whispered to rip space itself apart. Suddenly, an alarm blared. Sensors detected an unknown object entering the solar system's outer perimeter, silent, fast, and unregistered. "Kane," the aide reported, "a probe." No response to hails. The general's eyes narrowed. "Prepare the fleet. It's time to remind the galaxy why Earth is not to be trifled with." Back in the Galactic Council, fear had transformed into cautious respect and dread. The humans were no longer just a curiosity. They were a reckoning. And the question on everyone's lips: what had happened on Earth to forge such a force? The probe never made it past Neptune. One moment it was streaming telemetry, and the next obliterated. No explosion, no visible weapon fire. Just a brief distortion in local spacetime, like reality flinching, and then nothing. In the war room beneath Earth's crust, General Kane stared at the aftermath. His fingers drummed the edge of the table, deep in thought. "They're testing us," he said finally, "poking the nest to see if we'll sting." "Order, sir," his aide asked, eyes wide. Kane turned to a second hologram, this one far older. It showed a battle, grainy and erratic, like it had been reconstructed from corrupted data. Alien vessels, sleek, beautiful, burned in the cold vacuum of space. Earth's defenders moved like shadows, precise and brutal. Only a handful of humans survived that war, but their tactics had carved terror into the bones of the galaxy. It had been buried in the aftermath. The official story: a rogue alien faction had attacked Earth unprovoked. But the truth was uglier. "Activate Project Echo," Kane said. The aide froze. "But that's—" "I know what it is." Far above, aboard the Zephyr flagship Silent Accord, Ambassador Drellin received word of the probe's destruction. He was not surprised. "Exactly as predicted," he muttered. He motioned to his adjutant. "Begin extraction of the Archon archive." It's time the Council remembered what they chose to forget. Buried deep within the archive was the account of Earth's first interstellar encounter, not the sanitized version circulated by the Council, but the classified one. A mission to annex Earth's resources, masked as peaceful diplomacy, had turned into a massacre. The invaders expected a species in its technological adolescence. Instead, they faced humans armed with unpredictable logic, suicidal determination, and something worse: the Reckoner. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a prototype created during the final days of that forgotten war, a fusion of human engineering and reverse-engineered alien tech. It harnessed something no one could fully understand. Every time it was used, it left a scar in the fabric of space. A warning. And then it was never used again. Or so the galaxy believed. Back on Earth, in a sealed vault beneath the Siberian tundra, scientists stood before a monolithic structure that pulsed faintly, alive. They called it the core. It was the heart of the Reckoner, dormant but not dead. "It's waking up," whispered Dr. Ilana Chun, lead physicist of Project Echo. Kane's face appeared on the vault screen. "We've got alien movement near Saturn. 3 scout ships cloaked. Send them a message." Ilana looked to the core. "You want me to activate it?" "No. I want you to let it speak." Across the void, the scout ships began to tremble. Power systems failed. Life support faltered. Their captains tried to scream warnings, but static replaced their voices. In the final seconds, they saw it. A massive shape emerging from nothing. Human, yet inhuman. Cold metal etched with equations that made no sense and caused pain to read. And then oblivion. The galaxy didn't understand what the Reckoner really was. But someone did. On the edges of explored space, in the shadows beyond the Orion Barrier, an ancient race stirred. They were not council members. They watched. Always had. And when they saw the flare of the core awakening, they whispered in their dead language. The humans are unlocking it again. The anomaly. The rupture. They had seen what Earth had buried. They had fought it once. And they had barely survived. The Galactic Council's chambers were no longer a place of calm deliberation, but a powder keg ready to explode. Panic, suspicion, and desperation clawed at the facades of diplomacy as news of the probe's destruction and the mysterious Reckoner spread like wildfire. Ambassador Drellin stood before the assembly, his voice steady but urgent. "We face a threat unlike any before. Earth has awakened a power that could unravel the very fabric of space, and with it, our fragile peace." From the shadows, the Kryn Syndicate, a ruthless coalition of mercenaries and pirates, saw opportunity. They dispatched covert fleets to Earth's borders, seeking to seize any remnants of the Reckoner technology for themselves. If Earth's weapon was as powerful as rumored, whoever controlled it would command the galaxy. But the humans were ready. Deep in orbit, Earth's defense grid hummed with precision. Swarms of sleek, dark ships, the Sentinels, patrolled relentlessly. They were faster, smarter, and deadlier than anything the galaxy had faced before. General Kane watched as the Syndicate's ships blinked out of existence one by one, evaporated by energy bursts that warped reality itself. Yet the war was no longer only about firepower. On Earth, Project Echo reached a pivotal moment. Dr. Ilana Chun and her team were preparing to activate the core fully. The facility shook as power surged through ancient conduits, resonating with the heartbeat of a planet long ignored. Suddenly, a holographic interface flickered to life, showing images of Earth from centuries past. Battles, sacrifices, and warnings encoded in a language of light and sound. The core was not just a weapon. It was a guardian, an intelligence born of humanity's darkest hour, designed to defend Earth by any means necessary. It learned, adapted, and evolved. In the Council, factions fractured. Some called for immediate retaliation, a preemptive strike to dismantle Earth's growing threat. Others, haunted by memories of the forgotten war, argued for cautious containment, fearing that pushing humans further would unleash a cataclysm no one could control. But before a decision could be reached, a new signal echoed through space, raw, chaotic, and unmistakably human. "This is Earth. You trespass at your own peril." The message was clear. Earth was no longer hiding. It was a declaration of war. The silence of space shattered as Earth's fleet surged beyond the solar system's edge, swift, relentless, and unyielding. Commanded by General Marcus Kane, the fleet carried not just weapons, but a message. Earth would no longer be a passive target of fear and speculation. "Deploy the Sentinels," Kane ordered, his voice cold and decisive. "Show them what happens when you test humanity's resolve." Across star systems, alien colonies watched in horror as human warships appeared on long-range scanners, sometimes cloaked, sometimes in full assault formation. The Kryn Syndicate's forces were the first to face the wrath. Their ships, once smug in their assumed advantage, were torn apart in moments. The Reckoner's power, a reality-warping energy wave, left devastation that science could scarcely explain. Back on Earth, Dr. Ilana Chun monitored the core. It pulsed faster now, as if alive, as if feeding on the expanding conflict. Her eyes widened. The core was not merely a weapon or guardian. It was becoming something else, an intelligence merging human will with alien technology, transcending the limits of either. In the Galactic Council, chaos reigned. Retreat is no longer an option, Ambassador Drellin admitted grimly. Earth's resolve is absolute. If we do not act soon, the entire galaxy will be reshaped by their hand. An emergency coalition formed, a fragile alliance of old enemies united by a shared terror. Plans for a combined strike were drafted in fevered haste, but the humans were always one step ahead. Humanity fights with the fury of extinction and the cunning of survival. Lyran whispered to Drellin. We have underestimated them for too long. On the edges of space, the ancient Watchers, the shadowy race who had once faced the Reckoner, reappeared. Their envoy reached Earth clandestinely, bearing a dire warning. The Reckoner is not just a weapon. It is a wound in the cosmos. If fully unleashed, it will unravel the stars themselves. General Kane listened, his expression unreadable. Then we control the wound, or it controls us. With the galaxy teetering on the edge of all-out war, the true nature of Earth's power was about to be revealed, and with it, a choice that could save or doom everything. The void trembled as the final battle erupted near the edge of the solar system. Alien fleets, united in fear, faced off against Earth's relentless armada. Energy beams sliced through the darkness, ships erupted in cascades of fire, and the very fabric of space groaned under the strain. But the true weapon was hidden beneath Earth's surface, the core, the heart of the Reckoner, now fully awakened. Dr. Ilana Chen's voice crackled over the comms. General Kane, the core is ready. We can either unleash its full power or find another way. Kane's voice was steady. We don't start wars we can't finish. But we won't lose either. As the battle raged, a pulse unlike any before rippled through space, a shockwave bending reality itself, disintegrating fleets, collapsing wormholes. The Reckoner was unleashed, not as a weapon of destruction, but as a shield. Alien commanders watched in horror as their most advanced technologies failed against an invisible wall of energy encasing the solar system. Amidst the chaos, the ancient Watchers appeared in orbit, their envoy aboard Earth's flagship. You have harnessed what we could not control, their leader said. But balance must be restored, or all will perish. Kane nodded. Then we become the balance. Together, humans and Watchers enacted a daring plan to stabilize the Reckoner's power by merging their knowledge. The galaxy held its breath as the core hummed with ancient energy and new hope. The warships ceased fire. Earth's message was clear. They did not seek war, but if forced, they would be the reckoning the universe had feared. The galaxy understood at last. This is why no alien species dares to approach Earth anymore. Because humanity was no longer just survivors. They were the guardians of the cosmic balance.